So lately, I've been thinking about all the superstitions that I learned about while being in the Philippines. The Filipino culture is very rich. There's so much to understand and so much to learn, with so many generations coming from different places, even from around the world. Being married to a Filipina is pretty awesome because every single day, I'm always learning new things. But a lot of it is like really interesting because it makes me think, what are some of the superstitions that I grew up with? For example, oh, I saw a black cat, that's pretty bad. Or you gotta make sure you don't walk under a ladder because if you do, it's gonna be very bad luck. Just like I've learned a lot from listening to the song by Stevie Wonder, Superstitions, I also learn a lot by talking with my wife and trying to understand her points of views when, on my perspective, it may not make sense. And let me know down below as I'm going through these if you guys are familiar with any of them or if your family did them growing up. Just a disclaimer, this is all my opinion and this is based off what I've heard. So if you want to correct me on any of these, feel free. I would love to learn from you. Okay, so the first superstition I want to talk about is Pamahiin Sa Paa. I think I said it right. But anyways, this literally means superstition relating to feet. So when I first got married, before I went to bed, my wife would be like, "Did you wash your feet?" And I was like, "Wash my feet? No." "Go wash your feet in the tub now." And I was like, "Really?" "Yes, they're dirty. It's not good." And so I was like, "Okay, yeah, I'll go wash my feet, I guess." She was insinuating that it was very bad luck to have your feet, well, especially like dirty feet. Like if you're walking around the house all day barefoot, or if you're wearing slippers outside, or you have shoes on, whatever it is, throughout the day your feet can get dirty. In general, it's disrespectful or it's superstitious to put your feet on places like pillows, on the bed, dirty, or even like on the table, because it will sweep away the bad luck. And I guess this is I guess in America, or like in the American culture, it's not as prevalent, and a lot of people don't really think about that. They disregard it completely. But actually, it makes so much sense. Keep your feet clean. Don't put your feet on the pillow because you don't know where your feet have been, especially if you're sleeping. So this superstition is try to keep your feet clean and keep them off pillows and tables or places that are sacred. Yeah, makes perfect sense, and I agree. So the second one is Naninilaw Na Mata. So this superstition involves, I guess, children and babies, and when a stranger is at a far or even close, and they're looking at the child or the baby in envy, or with bad intent or jealousy or whatever, then the baby's eyes, they turn yellow. And we've seen this also when babies are born in everywhere, like in the United States or wherever. Their skin can be yellow, even their eyes could be a little bit yellow, and this is caused by jaundice. But in this superstitious understanding, or in the superstition, it stems from envy and malintent. And so you don't want to have your baby somewhere where there's a stranger looking around, and you want to make sure that it's okay. So that's why it's kind of taboo if a stranger is just staring or gazing into a baby's eyes or looking at them for too long. You want to make sure you watch out for that. So a way to counteract this is to say and use the words "puera usog," and basically it's like casting out this negative superstition, and it prevents the baby from any danger or any ailments or harmful health problems that might occur from a stranger staring at them. So I learned from this that you got to just watch your baby. You got to take care of your baby and make sure that strangers are not gazing into your baby's soul or watching your baby. You just have general awareness and protect everybody no matter what. So the next superstition, number 3, is Sukob. And this superstition involves like two siblings that are getting married the same year. Not to each other, but maybe like you are going to get married in August and then your sister is going to get married in November. And so this is actually very superstitious in the Philippines, and it's a sign of like if they both get married the same year, then a lot of bad luck's going to come to that marriage, both of those marriages. And they're going to face some difficulties, hardships, maybe even sickness or whatever. So you may wonder why is this even a superstition? It may have to deal with, if you're a parent and you have 2 kids in the family that are getting married the same year, maybe you want to have more focus on just one of those marriages that year, and that way all the time the resources and money can go just to one, so it could be more special and more important. And then the next year or the following year after that, then you can wait and then have another marriage, and then everything could be focused just on that. But if you have two in one year, not a lot of that energy and that love, I guess, will be focused directly on that individual. But a lot of people still practice it today. And actually, on my opinion, I think it's a good idea. Might as well separate it at one at a time. So number 4 is called Tiyanak. And this superstition, I'll start with the story. I remember when I was in the Philippines one time, we were walking through the provinces on this dirt road, and I remember hearing a baby crying. And the person I was with was like, oh, that's not good. Because they thought they heard the baby crying somewhere over this field. And it didn't look like there was a house or anything. And he seemed kind of concerned. And I was like, what? Is there really a baby crying? Maybe we should go discover or help. And he's like, no, we're not going to go. It's not good. So I was like, are you sure? Like, yeah, he's like, I'm sure. And so we never went to go see what it was. But I always wondered, like, why was he so opposed of going to go see the baby crying? And I actually found out later is that this is a superstition that there's actually a creature that acts like a baby who's crying, usually like in the wilderness area or in a wooded or a forest area, to lure unsuspecting victims so that when they come see and check up on this baby, when they get there, they hear this crying in the background. And then when they get there, the baby turns into a beast or a monster and gets them. So that's kind of crazy. I guess it's based off folklore and traditions and stories. So if you're ever in the Philippines and you hear a baby crying, could be a monster. Just kidding. But anyways, yeah, maybe to me, my understanding that maybe it's not good to go in strange areas and explore weird places at night, because you can also get hurt, and you could be thinking that you're hearing a baby, but in reality, it might be a cat and you might get stuck somewhere. So it's just something to think about along the way. So number 5 is Pamahiin Sa Taon. This start of the year 2023, I was with my wife and we were pet sitting these 3 big cats in the hills of LA. And the clock was striking closer and closer to strike midnight. And she's like, get ready, we're gonna jump at 11:59 point something, so we can jump right at 12 o'clock. So we did, and I jumped as high as I could. I learned that is a Filipino superstition, that when you jump right at the new year and you jump into 2023 like I did, then you might gain a couple inches in height. You'll grow a little taller. So me, I'm not the tallest person for sure, and I know there's a lot of taller people than me. And she's really my wife, and she always talks about, I wish you were a little bit taller. And so I jumped as high as I could, and I can guarantee you I grew a couple inches. More than a couple inches. But it was only for a split second. So pretty cool superstition. And maybe it helps you think about, I can grow more this year. I can jump higher into this new year. I can accomplish much more. And I could be a better person. So number 6 is Bato-Bato Sa Langit. And basically this means like when you're cruising down the street, you're walking as a kid or whatever, and you have nothing else to do, so you pick up rocks and you start throwing them up into the sky. Eventually those rocks are going to come down and they might hit somebody. Who knows who? The fact is, the superstition is, the moral of the story is, if you get hit by one of those rocks or whatever, something gets sent out, don't be too offended. If something comes back your way that you don't think is cool, or maybe offensive to you, don't take offense. Just be chill, be happy, and just keep going. Because in reality, those rocks are made of foam, as I could say. And they only look like they're ominous, but when they actually hit you, they don't do any damage. So those words that people will tell you, and those things that are coming your way, such as criticism, or people will try to correct you or whatever, just let it bounce off you like a foam rock. Because in reality, there's nothing that can really hurt you unless it's a real rock. So number 7 is called Hawla Sa Pinto. And this is a superstition, is when you hang lemons or garlic at the door of your house, even sometimes chilies, stuff like that, you can actually ward off bad influences or even bad spirits. and you block those things from coming into your home. It's kind of like, I've heard this superstition of, garlic prevents vampires. Maybe it's something similar in that sense, but anyways, it's kind of cool because it just acts as a symbol. I mean, I guess it could be anything, that you hang there and you put there as a reminder, you know what? This is going to block the bad influences that come into my home, so let it block those bad influences. And eventually you realize there's no more bad influences in your home or in your life. So that's a kind of cool superstition too. So number 8 is called Agaw Eksena. I think I said it right. I don't know. Please correct me. But anyways, when I was younger, I was painting this mural inside somebody's house that my friend referred me to go paint. And they were from Russia. And I remember when I was painting, I developed a habit, like before, like I'd always be whistling. And so every so often when I started whistling, the lady would come back into the room. She's like, stop whistling. It's not good. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to disrupt anything. I'm really sorry. And then maybe 20 minutes later, out of nowhere, out of habit, I would whistle again because I always have tunes and melodies in my mind. And she'd come back in, she's like, stop it. And it'd be like, oh, what's wrong with the whistle? I'm really sorry if I did it. She's like, it's bad luck. It's not good to whistle indoors, especially at night. And I learned it's actually a very common thing in the Philippines too. So whistling, especially at night indoors, can bring and attract bad spirits into your place. And this could cause a lot of disruption within the positive vibe, and it's not good. So this next one, number 9, is called Bitin. And I didn't really understand it at first because I grew up in a household where, like, if you're given food on a plate, you want to make sure you eat all the food because you don't want any food waste. You don't want the food to be, thrown away. And, it's good to eat everything. But I learned and I observed that everyone always didn't get, like, the last piece of chicken, or they didn't take a bite of the last clump of rice. Or maybe they decided to pass on the okra that was in the basket right there. Whatever it was, there was always a little piece of food that was left over, and no one went for the last piece, like the last piece of pizza. So this superstition actually symbolizes if you leave the last piece of food on the table, then you're welcoming abundance, self-control, balance between consumption and preservation. To understand that, food is food, but you have to also be very grateful and respect it and show care for it, because it's really what keeps us alive. And number 10 is Tingi. So this happens when you go out to eat. If you go get ramen or something delicious, even if you go to Max's of Manila, good place to eat, or wherever you want to go, and you're going with a group of friends, and you guys all sit at the same table, and it comes time to pay the bill. So one thing is you don't want to do is split the check evenly. This is a superstition that it's bad to split on both sides. So this could cause strain in, relations with friends or with people that you know. I don't fully understand the deep meaning of this one, so if you guys can help out a little bit more, explain in the comments, that would be so cool. But anyways, I feel like it's kind of interesting, Might as well be the one to man up and say, hey, you know what? Let's not split it, but I'm going to go ahead and treat all you guys. If you can do that, it shows great honor, and it shows a lot of generosity. That's just my personal take on it. Maybe that's why. So these are 10 superstitions you can find in the Philippines, part of the culture. They've evolved over time, and now you can find people practicing them in all walks of life, actually. So I found them to be extremely interesting, and there's a lot of meaning behind them. Either way, wherever you go, you should always respect them. If it's part of their culture, then you should learn to, appreciate the good that comes from them. Who knows, you may not practice them, or you may want to practice some of these because you might find them interesting. Either way, there's tons of more superstitions that I'd love to talk about, I'd love to share. Maybe I'll do another video. And if you guys have any superstitions that you want me to talk about in another video, I would love to do so. So please subscribe to the channel. We love hearing your comments, and we love getting involved and understanding more, and of course, learning. It's so fun. And if you have any cool ideas that you want to share, like any tips or ideas that would be good for us to make a video about, please let us know and we'll make them soon. Talk to you guys soon.